Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our Lucha Underground review. And this was yet another fantastic episode of Lucha Underground for me. We got another debuting superstar tonight. Two really phenomenal matches that I really went crazy for. And just an all-around great hour of television. Ashton, what'd you think of it?
I think it was a pretty solid follow-up to the first 3 weeks. I'm not going to try and rank them in order of which ones were my favorite and which ones were my least favorite, because they've all been pretty good so far. I will say the quality of matches tonight was probably the best that we've seen so far.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Just on a consistent, every single match was good basis. But yeah, I enjoyed tonight's episode, and I'm looking forward to getting into it here.
Absolutely. So with that, our first segment, Heat of the Night. And I really don't have any heats of the night tonight. I mean, I have things I could complain about, but they're not really worthwhile things to complain about. So I have zero heats of the night tonight.
Yeah, same here. The only things that I really would be able to complain about are Matt Stryker on commentary.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, really? So it's not just me? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he's awful.
He really he's the worst.
He really is. But, you and I know the futility of it because he's sticking around, and we are too, so since neither party's going to budge, we might as well move on to our formal Lucha Underground review. And we open this up with Sexy Star giving a grave warning to Chavo Guerrero. She's coming for him, brother.
Yeah, she not only is she coming for him, she straight up said that she is going to end the Guerrero dynasty.
I loved it. I love the fire of her promo. She mentioned you're going to pay for hurting a legend like Blue Demon Jr.
She even specified a true legend, implying that he thinks of himself as a legend, but she doesn't see him that way.
Yeah, she sees Chavo Guerrero, the Guerrero dynasty, really, as a falsehood. Really just naming all the people that Chavo has turned his back on and hurt, and that she's going to get payback for each and every one of them, but ultimately her, and I love that. And she says, but ultimately you will pay for putting your hands on me. But, Sexy Star, she's all fired up, she's all ready to go, but then she gets interrupted by Ivelisse.
I freaking love Ivelisse in this incarnation, dude. I wish the WWE would have kept her around because she's got some fire and she knows how to spit it.
Absolutely. She starts to talk, and the fans seem to be popping for her, but she does a nice variation of the Vicky Guerrero, Lana, taking back control. She says, "Shut up! I'm talking!" But, really, angry.
And to me, the best part about that was not only did it get the crowd to quiet down a little bit, but they cut her music at that point, too. So, because I feel like a lot of the time someone will be like, cut my music, and then that'll happen, and then they'll be like, they'll just kind of wait for the crowd to die down. But she said, shut up to everyone, and I guess the audio guy was like, oh, God, I don't want her to hurt me, I'm going to shut up, too, and turn her music off.
Yeah, it was like she really commanded the entire arena, which was great.
Yeah.
And she says, you think you're so bad, you think you're so wonderful, you know you don't belong in there with the men, you're not tough. And she says, everybody knows that I'm the baddest bitch. And then before she can finish, Sexy Star slaps her across the face. And that's pretty much where we begin the bout here, man.
Yeah. Ivelisse was full-blown heel here. I really enjoyed her heel work. She even went as far as to say, not only is Sexy Star hiding her ugly face, but the mask is also ugly. So it's double the uggo.
Oh, man.
But yeah, this was a pretty solid match, though. Ivelisse is really physical. That's one of the reasons that I'm just like, man, why in the world would they let her go? But hey, she's a friggin' gem for Lucha Underground, so, more power to her.
Definitely. I'm so happy to see that Lucha Underground is really taking a page out of NXT's playbook and giving their women time. This is actually, I think, the first one-on-one women's match.
It is. The only other women's matches have all involved men. One was Sexy Star versus Son of Havoc, yeah. And then the other one was Ivelisse and Son of Havoc versus Sexy Star and Chavo, and that was the night Chavo turned. And then we didn't get a female match last week.
Right. This is the first one-on-one women's match, and I would say it delivered. I mean, it was very...
Are these the only 2 women on the roster? I have to ask.
I believe there are... Well, I mean, we have Katrina, who's a valet, but then I think there's another woman by the name of Angela Fong that I saw.
Okay, yeah.
So we haven't seen her yet, though, by my recollection, so maybe she is to come. But, yeah, for the first women's match on Lucha Underground, one-on-one, I'd say these 2 delivered. I think this match is really punctuated by physicality. That's the word I would ultimately use. These women were very physical.
Angela Fong, formerly known as Savannah in WWE.
She sounds familiar.
She was in, wasn't she on ECW? WWE ECW?
She may have been. Maybe that's where I've heard of her.
Yeah, she was. She was on WWE ECW while she was at FCW.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But, great matchup here. Ultimately, Sexy Star does get the win, which I'm so glad about that, because I was afraid Ivelisse was going to get the win through Dirty Tactics, and honestly, that might have been a heat of the night for me, because after you call out Chavo Guerrero the way that you do, this was a
And you know what? Here's the crazy thing. Like, I was cheering for Ivelisse in this match, but I knew in the back of my mind, even though I prefer Ivelisse personally, that Sexy Star needed to win this. And she did. Right. And even though it wasn't my favorite kind of win, it was just a friggin' pinning combination that she used. I guess that's kind of like her finisher. Like how the Hunico special is basically just a really fancy way of pinning your opponent and making sure that they can't kick out. This is just a variation of a pinning combination that she has mastered, and she just wins with it. So whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool for me. Cool for you. What's up?
Absolutely. Cool with me. We can move on.
Up next, we had a backstage confrontation. Dario Cueto tells Drago that he doesn't know if he's worth the investment, and that Dario Cueto doesn't like anything less than investing on something that doesn't pay off. And he says that he's going to be the first prey for King Cuerno.
Yeah, you know what I love about Drago is that he looks like something right out of a Mortal Kombat video game.
Yeah.
I love his
You know
look.
what, dude? During Drago's match later in the night, Matt Striker actually did say something that I completely agree with. He's very reminiscent of a young, right when he was starting to do the masked thing, Great Muta.
Wow.
Striker said that, and I was like, oh my god, that clicks. Like that, he's so right. Now, obviously, Drago has a lot different going for him than Muta did, but the mask is really reminiscent of what Muta's original mask was. And even, I mean, to this day a little bit, but not as much.
Right, because we've seen Muta compete the few times, Ashton, that you and I have felt the need to subject ourselves to TNA pay-per-views when they were cross-promoting with Japan. And yeah, I can see the likeness, definitely. So yeah, Drago's look, he's got to have one of the best looks to me on the Lucha Underground roster, because he just looks so
I think that he has hands down the coolest mask on the roster.
Yeah, definitely. And just a quick side note here, I love how Cueto, he isn't a complete douche in showing Drago the door, but instead, he gives him another opportunity, and they keep building on the theme, and I hope they never stop, because I think this is one of the defining points of Lucha Underground, that it's a temple open to anybody, and we get another debuting superstar tonight.
And I love Drago's response, too, because he doesn't even say anything, he just droops that weird black thing that's meant to be his dragon tongue out of his mouth, and kind of slurps it back up, and then walks away.
Telling you, man, he's just so freaky and bizarre. I love it.
I know, it's awesome. I feel like if he ever does talk, he needs to have a voice like freaking Loki's voice. Otherwise, I will be so disappointed.
Yeah, you know what? I hope he doesn't talk for a while. I would actually be cool if he never talked, personally.
Yeah.
Because, the mystique is just off the charts with this guy.
Yeah.
So.
Not so much mystique on this next one, though. We got Pentagon Jr., and he basically cuts a 2007 JBL promo, just talking about how everyone needs to respect him, and he's going to make an example out of Fenix.
Yeah, thanks Cueto for giving him the respect that he deserves. And then, as you noted, Ashton, Fenix comes out, and these two tear the house down. What a
Would you say
match.
This was the best match that we've gotten so far on Lucha Underground?
Oh, but that triple threat, though.
And the Mundo Prince Puma main event from the first episode.
Yeah, you know what? It's up there. It's I don't know if it overtakes.
It's on the same level as those matches. Let's just put it that way.
Definitely.
Yeah. These guys were awesome, and I don't even remember what the finish was in this match. Do you?
I'm trying to think. No, you know what it was? It was an off-the-top rope C4, or as they call it, a Spanish fly, is the term they use in Lucha Underground.
Okay, yeah. That's probably why I didn't remember it, because Johnny Mundo ended up hitting a standing C4 later, and they just kind of blended together for me.
Yeah, I guess the technical term, if it were really be exact, would be an avalanche Spanish fly by
Okay,
Phoenix.
yeah. I like that. I mean, if that's going to be Phoenix's finisher, I'm not going to complain, because I freaking love that move. I even love that move going back to when Paul Burchill used it.
Oh, yeah, Paul Burchill, I think Kazarian and TNA did a slight variation of it called
Yeah,
the Flux
flux
Capacitor.
capacitor, yeah.
Yeah, that was my first experience with that move, and I popped so big. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's like a backflip rock bottom.
But I gotta tell you, dude, Phoenix keeps blowing my mind.
Yeah.
I think, for me,
He has been so good.
He has, dude. For me personally, and I don't want to speak for you or anybody for that matter, but for me, I think he's akin to Kalisto on NXT with how he blows my mind with his offense. Just amazing what he does when he gets a lot of time to really work. And they gave him and Pentagon Jr. a lot of time here.
Didn't we make the Phoenix Kalisto connection last week?
Did they?
No, I said we.
Did we? We may have. We may have. I wouldn't be surprised if I said something or you said something. Because,
I feel like I remember one of us saying something about how he reminds us of Kalisto and the other agreeing with it.
Yeah, I just feel like with his offense, man, I keep going back to that because then, we always do NXT like the night after, and when Kalisto's on it, I'm just like, wow. But yeah.
No, you know what it was? It wasn't Kalisto. I said something about how he reminded me of the original Sin Cara, but without the botches because he had like the speed and he got so much air when he did the high flying stuff. Like, yeah. That's what I would say. I definitely see the comparison to Kalisto too, but that's what, cause like, I go back to when Sin Cara first debuted and that first appearance when he ran down, he did the trampoline entrance and then he came off the top turnbuckle onto somebody on the outside and he got so much air. And that's what Phoenix reminds me of right now, but he does it consistently and he doesn't really botch ever.
He is so good. I'm telling you, I think between him, Prince Puma, just so many like babyface high flyers I think will be vying for that quote unquote top spot. It's crazy how stacked they are with those babyface high flyers. And yeah, Phoenix does.
They are luchadors after all.
That is true, and it is Lucha Underground. So Phoenix does get the win with the, as I called it, the Avalanche Spanish Fly after a terrific bout. And you know what? I still like Pentagon Jr. I still want to see more of him as well. He really delivered in this match. And, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing these two lock up again in the future.
Yeah, there were some really cool sequences in this match. Man, just, I don't know. I would say this is, and I keep on going back to last week's Triple Threat and week 1's main event, and I just can't even decide whether I like this match more than either one of those or not.
I mean, Phoenix really did some great stuff. I mean, there was one point where I think he balanced himself on the on like the ropes while Pentagon Jr. was on the top rope, and I don't know if he did a hurricane or maybe that's what led into the finish with the Avalanche Spanish Fly, and then that dive, that twisting body corkscrew off the ropes outside of the ring on Pentagon Jr.
There was even one point where Pentagon Jr. was kind of in the middle of the ring, and Phoenix came off the top rope, bounced off of the middle rope. He had one leg on either side, and it looked almost like he crotched himself, but he bounced off of the middle rope, and then he got up onto the top rope and did a springboard drop kick.
Yes. Like, that was the crazy thing about Phoenix, to sum it up in a word, the sequences of, like, what he would put before the final product of offense. And I'm like, my God, this guy, you just wind him up and watch him go. It's unbelievable. Really blows my mind, dude. Phoenix is excellent.
Absolutely, and he did end up winning. So, up next, we had a King Cuerno vignette, where he's just kind of talking about, basically just, to sum it up, the most substantial line that he said was, "You call me predator and I call you prey." Yeah,
and he, Lucha Underground says he's on the hunt tonight, and yeah, I liked it. I liked how they packaged him, the presentation, so I was very intrigued to see King Cuerno in Lucha Underground.
Yeah. As it turns out, this is El Hijo del Fantasma, the son of the Phantasmo. Phantasmo is a relatively well-known Mexican wrestler.
Yeah, he even sounds familiar to me, oddly enough. So
Or
yeah,
Phantasma, not Phantasmo, but yeah.
Phantasma.
Yeah.
So yeah, really cool how that all kind of clicks.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, I mean, this vignette actually leads into King Cuerno's match with Drago, which was really good. Just barely comes short of the Pentagon Jr. Fenix match, in my opinion.
Yeah, I loved how King Cuerno worked his match. First of all, his entrance. I can't even talk about the match without talking about his entrance, because he comes out with a deer head, wearing it as like a hat.
Yeah.
Which was just so bizarre and such great imagery. And I think it was a great way, to build on that whole Hunter-esque analogy with him.
You know what? I'll say this. As much more exciting as Pentagon Jr. versus Fenix was than this match had so much better psychology going into it. I loved the Predator versus Prey dynamic that these guys psychologically played out in this match.
Definitely. Cuerno, I think, really throughout the whole match, at least to me, actually seemed like he had a slow, methodical kind of offense, really just having control over Drago.
Dude, I just love that this entire match felt like Drago was getting backed into a corner and he had to fight his way out. And anytime Drago got offense, you felt like he was doing it almost by accident, almost like King Cuerno was letting him get away with it. And then King Cuerno was like, okay, well, this is enough of this. And he just shut it down. And then, like, they had the one sequence where Drago did a ridiculous suicide cannonball to the outside. Hands down, my personal pop of the night. And then he gets back he throws King Cuerno back in the ring, and he does a pose on the apron. And then King Cuerno's like, oh, you think you can do a suicide dive? Let me teach you a thing or two. And then he kicks him in the face to knock him out. And then he does a suicide dive. And I've seen a lot of suicide dives. It's a really overexposed move in the WWE. This is one of the best suicide dives I've ever seen. This guy looked like and I'm going to quote Vampiro here because he said this. He shot out of a friggin' rifle, man. This was ridiculous.
It was, man. It was. And I think where the real brilliance of this match lies is how it ended. Because I want to go back and focus on something you said. And you said any time Drago was on offense, it almost felt like it was by accident, or it was just by Cuerno's design, saying, okay, it's enough of that, I'm shutting you down. So really, it's almost like Drago, he's not trying to win the match. No.
He's trying to survive.
He's trying to survive, yes. And I didn't get that feeling more than the finish, because Cuerno looks like he's going for some type of suplex, maybe a brainbuster, whatever. But he poses, he taunts. He's really salivating, like he's got the prey now ensnared in the trap, and he is going to enjoy the spoils. But he takes too long. Drago pushes him off, comes off the ropes, and it's so funny, Ashton, that in the first match of the night, that being Sexy Star versus Ivelisse, you mention how you're not the biggest fan of, like, those pinning combination finishes, because this has to be the craziest pinning combination I've ever seen in my life.
This was very Hunico Special-esque. You know what I'm talking about when I say Hunico Special, right?
Yes, I do, yes.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure I've literally only ever seen him use that in WWE twice, both times against Ted DiBiase Jr.
Yeah, that's the only time I have seen him use it was one time against Ted DiBiase Jr., so that's how I know it.
But that's what this felt like, except with a much more complicated setup.
Yeah, the finesse of this maneuver. And I gotta say right now, because I think
it was like a freaking spider weaving a web around a live moth. Like, he was just flipping around King Cuerno, and it's like you didn't know what he was doing, but next thing you know, he had him trapped in his web, and he got the 3 count.
That was a perfect description. I'm not even going to touch that, but what I will say is I think everybody knows by now, neither one of us really get the El Rey Network, so we have to watch this show online. Where I was personally watching it, dude, everybody was marking out for that pinning combination. I don't think I've ever seen a pinning combination get more of a pop than what Drago was able to elicit. Yeah. Unreal. But then then, and see, that's why I really have to commend this match. In fact, I'll say it right now. I think this was match of the night. I may have said it earlier about Phoenix and Pentagon Jr.
I was going to say.
Yeah, but you know what? Really thinking about the story of this match, as you said in the beginning, why you almost preferred it, even down to the fact, because when Drago got the 3 count, he got the hell out of there.
He ran, yeah, I know.
He ran,
survived. It was like he just, like King Cuerno had him in a trap, and he had to loosen the trap up just to get that kill shot in. And when he loosened the trap up, Drago managed to get his escape, and he got out alive.
So I love how they keep with that theme right down to the finished quote-unquote celebration. And
I even love that King Cuerno popped right up after Drago let go, and he was like, no, you let me. And then he didn't even act like he was devastated by it. He practically no-sold it, and he just got even more pissed off. And he did the throat slash thing, and he was just like, that's it. Drago is a dead man.
And I love it because the ending point, the exclamation point I want to put on my personal review of this match is that I love how, because what scared me about Lucha Underground with the whole temple and anybody's welcome in my temple theme, obviously this being a relatively new promotion to the U.S., I think they're going to want to build up a substantive roster and a roster that we're going to find very alluring and very appealing. Well, you know, one of the ways to do that, if you want anybody to be credible, it's usually the standard formula. Guy comes in his debut match and he wins. I can't tell you how happy I am that Cuerno lost here because they made him lose like a freaking beast.
Yeah.
It's the way you handle the wins and losses that ultimately matter in the long run, and I feel like this is the match where that really clicked with Lucha Underground. I can't wait to see more of Cuerno because now what I would love to see personally, if we're, you know, you and I always do that fantasy booking stuff, I'd love to see some of their cinematic vignettes where Cuerno literally goes on the hunt for Drago. That would be some epic stuff. And then they get a
just backstage.
Yeah, just backstage, just him stalking him.
That'd be really cool. Like, or even you could just have a segment where like you show Drago training, and then next thing you know, they cut to a different camera angle, and Cuerno is just like hiding behind a corner watching him.
Yeah, and you know with me, I always like taking things like pushing him off the cliff and going over the top. If they really want to go far with this Cuerno predator prey kind of thing, I would love to see him personally start collecting masks. That would be beast for me. Just have like a trophy room of all the masks from people he's defeated.
See, I mean, I could understand that if they used like a pre-made set of masks where he didn't, because I don't want them to start having luchadors losing their masks on this show already.
No. It wouldn't even be like a public thing like on TV where we see him like rip off the mask. I would actually go your route. Have it pre-made. Make it seem like he's hunted all these people. I just think really build that imagery for me because I see a lot of potential in this kind of predator-prey dynamic. I really do.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens, man. I'm intrigued.
Absolutely. And intrigue is definitely the best word to use because these guys told a great story here and I enjoyed it a lot.
Can't wait for the rematch. Really.
Up next, we had a backstage segment. Prince Puma is working out and Conan is talking to him. He emphasizes that this is not your fight. He doesn't care if Cortez or Cisco or the entire locker room goes out there, that Prince Puma needs to stay out of it.
Yeah, once again, we see that dichotomy between the babyface wrestler and Prince Puma, and yet the heel representation in Conan, you know, being that heel manager again in his ear saying, hey, the only friend you've got, well, it's me, and then it's yourself, nobody else, and Johnny Mundo is not your friend, so we see that reiteration. And then I think, doesn't that go from that to our main event match of the evening?
Yes. Yep, we go straight from that. And then we had a commercial break in between, but it doesn't really matter. Into our main event, Big Rick versus Johnny Mundo.
And you know what? I've got to say, everybody knows that I am a Johnny Mundo freaking mark. I mean, that's beyond established. When I say this, it's not in praise of him. It's in praise of Big Rick. I enjoyed this main event a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
I really did. This is a good fit for Big Rick, what he did in this match. I really like how they presented him here.
Yeah, this is just a good example of how it's really easy to put on a compelling product when you're able to hide somebody's weaknesses and emphasize their strengths.
Yeah, I mean, accentuating the positives, hiding the negatives. I mean, that's really what ECW was about for quite a few of their talents. I mean,
and I think that's what NXT does best.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look at how they've made turnarounds with certain guys that we used to loathe, like CJ Parker and the like. It's not that the things that we hated essentially went away. I think they just got better about masking them. And you could say the same thing here with Lucha Underground and Big Rick. He's a guy, you're not going to see him in 15 to 20 minute clinics because he's not that type of guy, but you will see him as that guy that goes in there as the muscle and takes care of business and makes it seem like for the babyface on the other end that they've got to fight a match from the ground up. Yeah. And that's what it seemed like here for Mundo.
Absolutely. Yeah, this was definitely a match kind of similar to the Cuerno Drago match where Mundo really had to fight from being backed in a corner, and a lot of the time it was literally like Rick threw him into the corner and went after him, and Mundo had to either fight out or manage to slip out. But yeah, this was an underdog story, and it didn't even get played out completely because in the back we saw that we had Cortez and Cisco. Rather than just going straight for Mundo, they attacked Prince Puma in the back to eliminate him to get that card out of the deck. And then they went back out to the ring and they got Big Rick disqualified, but the three of them put the beat down of a lifetime on Johnny Mundo.
Yeah, they did put the boots to him real good. And then Cortez and Cisco get a table set up to which Big Rick hits the Uranagi, through the table to Mundo, laying him out. If I had one small nitpick of this match as a whole, because I did love how they finished, because this shows Big Rick is earning his money, and Cueto, his influence is legitimate when he's able to get his aims accomplished. So I think for that greater story, this is definitely a success. If anything, surprisingly enough, I would have had Big Rick be even more dominant in this match. And again, this is coming from the Mundo mark. Like, I kind of wanted to see him really impose his will on Mundo. Maybe...
yeah, I mean, I even had a moment when Mundo hit Moonlight Drive on Big Rick. Big Rick kicked out at 2. I said he should have kicked out at 1.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Definitely, I would have liked to have seen him, toss Mundo around more, maybe, throw him into the security barricade or get him in the bear hug position and drive his spine into the ring post, really exert that dominance. I didn't really get that impression too much here.
No.
And I think that is something that's going to need to change because, again, he is the muscle of Cueto. We see him counting those bills to do a job. I want to see him do that job very, very well.
Well, I don't know if the job was necessarily to dominate Johnny Mundo in the match. I think it was just to put him out of commission, and I think that they succeeded at that.
Yeah, I think, personally, I foresee us not seeing Johnny Mundo for at least 2 weeks. We probably won't see him next week. Week after that, he'll probably return to television if I was to guess, which I think means next week we'll probably see Prince Puma try and get his comeuppance on Cisco and Cortez, but by himself.
Do you think? Yeah, I was going to say, do you think we're going to get a handicap match?
We just might. That's actually not a bad idea, Ashton. I could see a 2-on-1 main event next week. Puma versus Cortez and Cisco.
That actually, I would like to see that.
Yeah, because we've seen Cortez and Cisco work in a tag match. They're no slouches, to say the least. And Puma, I mean, come on, it's Ricochet, so we've already seen him go to work. Yeah, I say book it. I say 2-on-1 next week. I think it's the logical way to go. Mundo, of course, being out of action, because, I mean, they did it with Sexy Star getting hit in the face of the steel chair by Chavo, so it would be cool to kind of write Mundo off, and we anticipate when he's going to come back. So... yeah, with that said, I'm really liking how everything's shaking out between the characters, the heels, the baby faces, just everything. The matches. Lucha Underground, I think, is consistently delivering here, and I'm very pleased.
Lucha Underground's where it's at, man.
Absolutely. That and NXT, I'm telling you, man.
The hottest products going right now. Well, and maybe New Japan, but still.
And New Japan, but as far as Lucha Underground and NXT goes, best part for us, I mean, they're in back-to-back nights, so it's like we get one dose and then another, and then we're just in bliss, so... Yep. With that said, on to our next. Unless you have any concluding segments about or remarks, I should say, about Lucha Underground this episode.
No, I just want to continue, get into our other segments, and let's do this.
All right then. Well, our next segment, high spots and low shots, and I gotta say, my low shot is Johnny Mundo. Yes, he keeps his streak alive, through a DQ win, which I even, first words out of my mouth, the streak lives, and I was like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
but he got taken out. So really, he won the match, but Cueto in essence won the war because that was his aim all along. Make Johnny Mundo not a problem for me, because Mundo threatened him. He said, hey, when I'm done with Big Rick, I'm coming for you. Well, now that's not going to be...
I mean, it's kind of a throwback to the first episode when he said he brought Johnny Mundo in to make an example out of him.
Yeah. And Cueto finally got to do this, so in a way, it's the ultimate victory for the ultimate villain of the product. So yeah, as much as I hate to do it, I got to be objective and honest. Mundo had a crappy night tonight, and he's my low shot.
My low shot is Pentagon Jr. because... for the second week in a row, he got beat, but this time it's, insult to injury because he cut a promo beforehand talking about how he wants everyone to respect him, and he's going to make an example out of Fenix. How'd that work out, bud?
Yeah, no one respects a loser, Pentagon Jr. So, in any sense of the word, you were a sore loser on the microphone, and you were a loser in the ring. But hey, you're still incredibly talented. I'm sure I'll get that W eventually, but for now, great choice for your low shot. My high spot... I have to give it to Drago, simply
nice.
Because he emerged the victor in my match of the night that I quickly changed sides on. Thank goodness I never serve in war. Yeah, these guys told an excellent story. And Drago winning, like you and I said, I think he has the coolest look on the roster, and the way he won made Cuerno look like a beast, so all around, great night for Drago.
I think my high spot is going to be Dario Cueto, because he got what he wanted. He made an example out of Johnny Mundo, plus his boys took out Prince Puma, plus, even though King Cuerno technically lost, he's really pissed off right now, and Dario Cueto is going to get exactly what he wants, and that's violence if he puts King Cuerno and Drago in another match next week.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think Cueto's got to be very pleased with how things are going. He's got Chavo Guerrero on a rampage, conspicuous, from his absence this week, and just all the pieces are coming together for Cueto, so that's actually a pretty ingenious choice there on your part, and it's certainly well-deserved. So, with that said, because there are no additional segments after this, that pretty much concludes our review. Ashton, you have anything you want to say before I formally close this out?
No, I just wanted to really thank everybody for listening. We've had significantly better numbers on Lucha Underground than Raw and NXT these past couple weeks, and while I completely understand why this is doing better than Raw, I would like to see NXT do a little bit better, but regardless, I love that people are into Lucha Underground, people are looking for other people who are into Lucha Underground, otherwise they wouldn't be able to find us, and it's just awesome that you guys are listening, and definitely be sure to check out our NXT reviews, because even if you only watch Raw and you hate it, or you used to watch Raw and you hated it so much that you stopped watching, NXT is a heck of a lot more like Lucha Underground than it is Raw.
Absolutely. I co-sign on to that 100%. Guys, if you have not done yourself the service of checking out our NXT reviews, I implore you to. You will not be disappointed. And the NXT product as a whole. That I can assure you on my life. You will not be disappointed. So, with that said, this has been Lucha Underground. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube, and we know you have been for our Lucha Underground reviews. For that, I give you my deepest thanks. Comment on Tweetoff. What did you think of Lucha Underground this week? Who were your superstars and who were your low shots? All that good stuff. And we will see you again for our NXT review, where Adrian Neville is going to have to answer for his actions in retaining the NXT championship 1 week ago. We'll see you again. Peace out, guys.